This is the Untold Italy Travel Podcast, and you're listening to episode number 149.
Ciao a tutti and benvenuti to Untold Italy, the travel podcast where you go to the towns and villages, mountains and lakes, hills and coastlines of Bella Italia. Each week, your host, Katie Clark, takes you on a journey in search of magical landscapes, history, culture, wine, gelato, and of course, a whole lot of pasta. If you're dreaming of Italy and planning future adventures there, you've come to the right place.
Who loves pasta? Yes, we all do, especially me and any type you care to mention. Hello, ciao everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Untold Italy devoted to pasta and the women who are preserving its traditions throughout Italy. Today I'm chatting with Vicky Bennison, the founder of the incredibly successful YouTube and other channels known as Pasta Grannies that have over 2 million subscribers. So incredible. We're chatting about the importance of pasta to Italian culture and her second book dedicated to the fresh pasta recipes of the Pasta Grannies. Vicky's first book won a James Beard Award, which is the equivalent of the Food Oscars in America, for Best Single Subject in 2019, and this next book is destined to do the same. So let's jump in and chat with Vicky about the heartwarming pasta recipes and the women who make them. Benvenuto, Vicky. Welcome to the Untold Italy podcast.
Thank you very much indeed for inviting me.
I'm so excited. But before we get started, Vicky, I wanted to wish you auguri. Congratulations on your second Pasta Grannies book. It's such a beautiful and generous book, and it's full of mouth-watering recipes and very detailed instructions on how to make them. And I've been poring over them, but I have to admit they're making me very hungry.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. I know. I mean, you can't really stop reading Italian cookbooks because they just keep making you want to know more. But anyway, before we get chatting about the book, how about you introduce yourself and the Pasta Grannies project to our listeners?
Okay, so my name is Vicky Bennison. I'm the creator of Pasta Grannies. It got going about nearly 10 years ago now. And it has, across all the social media platforms, 2.5 million followers. And the book you're referring to is my second one. The first one was published 4 years ago and has been published into 6 languages, I think, and it also won a James Beard Award. So this is the follow-up. It's a response to the pandemic. And so this time I've selected all those recipes that were really popular on the YouTube channel. Everybody loves lasagna.
That's so true.
I could post lasagna every week and everybody would be happy.
I know, and it's crazily, some people think that there's only one type of lasagna, but it's infinite.
Yes.
Lasagna is infinite, isn't it?
Well, certainly for every region there's a lasagna, so they'll have their own variations. So when people say, you can't put ricotta in it, it's like, yeah, head south and you can.
Exactly. So maybe just take a bit of a step back. And so if people don't know the projects, explain exactly what you do, because it's really unique and it's really special.
Yes. So 10 years ago, I was in Italy, just bought a house, just moved there, and I noticed that it was only older women who were making pasta by hand on a daily basis. And I thought, someone's got to make a record of these women. And it turned out to be me. I'd never picked up a video camera before. And I did so because pasta making is very physical. There's a rhythm to it and words just don't do it justice. So I picked up a video camera, and the place to put videos was this fairly new thing called YouTube. And very slowly, because it was just me and a word of mouth and friends of friends, whenever I found a grandmother, I would film them, and then it gradually got going. And YouTube, when you want to publish a book, you need to demonstrate an audience. So I then had to start taking YouTube seriously and post every week. And that's how it got going.
Yeah, it's such an amazing project, documenting all these recipes. I mean, it's a lifetime's work, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, there are hundreds of different shapes and different names. So the same pasta can have different names, and the same name can apply to different pastas. So it gets really confusing, and I'm not a purist. It's like, yes, if this village says it's this way, that's fine. I mean, I'm merely, the conduit, the messenger, or whatever it is. I don't stand in judgment on what anybody has to say about pasta naming, because it's very complicated.
I wonder if you get into the which one's better, because I think that's always such a hilarious activity in Italy. They always think theirs is the best, whether it's olive oil or pasta or whatever.
Yes, always. And that's great. I'm very proud of their food.
They really are. And, it's such a great story. And what I really love, Vicky, is that you show so much respect for these ladies. And what I really liked in your introduction to this latest book, you made a point of saying that these ladies, the nonne, they're not cute. And I was just wondering why you wrote that.
Because a lot of people say that, and they're well-meaning, and they are, of course, cute, but they are so much more than that. I think I wanted to sort of stress that there's more depth and variety to their experiences, and we quite often lose sight of their experience. So we just need to listen to them a bit more, and we can learn quite a lot of them. They still have things to say about the way that we live now, about, the importance of not throwing food away. We kind of understand that, but we haven't internalized it, for example. I mean, obviously some people have, but,
Yeah, just as a general society, we've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I think there's some unfortunate stereotypes around older Italians, especially women, and they float around the internet and they're not particularly helpful. And the amazing thing about your project is not only do you draw out the recipes, but you draw out these women's personality and their stories. So it's really humanizing, and I think it's just such a fantastic way just to show that these women are real. They've got amazing stories of their own, and they do much more than just making pasta.
Yes, I mean, pasta is nowadays the vehicle to get to know the women. I always say that people come to the channel for the pasta and stay for the grannies, and that's wonderful. We still look for pastas, but equally we always give space. We try to give space for the women to sort of say a little bit about their lives. Some women don't want to, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, we kind of get a chink into their life, and I think that's wonderful. And of course, it could apply to any culture. It just so happens that I live in Italy, and that's what I started to do.
Yeah, I think, anything that can, really bring out people's personalities and their histories, it just brings, I don't know, we love that on our podcast. That's why we love talking to people from all around the world who have a passion for Italy, because there's something about the culture that just really draws people in. And also, like you mentioned, this underlying sense of sustainability that has never really gone away there. And I think we all need to look to these people to see how maybe we can adopt some of those things in our modern lives that they've been doing forever.
Yes, so that kind of industrialization of agriculture is happening in Italy. Food culture is changing in Italy, but they still have their roots, and they still have close connections to the countryside in the way in the UK, they lost it about a century or so ago. I'm not a food historian, but, we're so used to buying things from a supermarket, whereas even, in Italy where I live, the fishmonger comes round in his van twice a week. There are several butchers. There are a couple of pasta shops. People are still shopping properly rather than just sort of doing a quick shop at the supermarket once a week. And I think because people care about the products that they're buying, even if they can't grow their own. And I think that's true across Italy, even though there's huge diversity in the gastronomies.
Oh, that's what we love. You can go from the top to the toe and it can be completely different.
Yes, it's just amazing. I know. Yeah, so we've now, nearly 10 years down the line, we've done most of the regions of Italy. We still haven't done Molise and Aosta.
Oh, they're very tricky. I'm on a mission to do the 20 regions as well, but those two are elusive.
I know. So, we sort of got close. Last month we were in Abruzzo. We still didn't make it into Molise.
But that's interesting, isn't it? Because Molise actually produces a lot of pasta for international and local consumption.
Yes, I know.
I know. I always notice on the packets that it's from Molise. So I'm like, they've obviously got good wheat down there.
Good water.
Good water. Yeah, it's always that's always a secret ingredient, I think. So you mentioned that it was sort of finding the grannies originally was like a word of mouth process, and they're fabulous pasta dishes. But how do you find them now?
Well, I have a granny finder. Her name is Livia De Giovanni. She lives in Faenza, and it's her job to, she's my wing woman. She finds grandmothers. So, for example, at the end of November, we'll be going back to Piedmont and probably Liguria. And so she's on a mission, so she likes to set herself standards, and it's like, no, we're not having anyone under 90. And it's like, well, we can have a few. So the way that, we work together and she's the one that's doing the negotiating, because you never deal with a grandmother on her own. We're always working with families, and, grandmothers wouldn't agree to appear on an episode unless her family had agreed and thought it was a good idea. So we start with the family, and if everybody's happy, then, the Signora appears on an episode.
Right, yeah, I can imagine that it might take quite a little bit of time to build up the trust with the families in some cases.
Yes, I think it's important though, so the conversation starts before we arrive with cameras, so that it isn't, we're strangers, but we're not complete strangers. We try and get ladies in their own home so that they're much more relaxed. We find that if you put women, they sometimes choose to go to their daughter's kitchen because they think it looks smarter. And, they don't know where the knives are and stuff like that. And they instantly get more anxious about being in someone else's kitchen. So we like to kind of keep them in their own homes. So that helps with the conversation, keeps them, feeling spontaneous and relaxed. And, we have small cameras. We don't rehearse. We don't stress them. And I think that shows in the episodes that are produced.
Oh, okay. So there's a bit of editing that goes on afterwards, I can imagine.
There's lots of editing.
But I mean, you do such a great job because, personalities really come out. Do you have any, it's horrible to ask favourites, but do you have some episodes that stand out in your mind that were particularly fun or?
They all are wonderful. I think of the book, so we've got Pina, who did the chestnut gnocchi with walnut pesto. And there's a great story in that one. I mean, she was quite perplexed. Why are you coming back? Why are you here? Why do you need to learn how to make gnocchi? You should know how to make this. We kind of do know how to make gnocchi, but we want to know how you make gnocchi. And all her ingredients come from around her, whether it's her vegetable garden or the woodlands around her. So, that's great. And Chi-Chi, who is in a neighbouring village, another woman that appears in the book, she also forages for mushrooms, and they appear in her recipe as well. And it's just wonderful. I mean, I'd like to sort of follow them for the entire year just to see what they get up to.
That'd be really fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The other thing about it is so seasonal as well, isn't it? I'm sure they have dishes for each season.
They do. And though, of course, the use of a freezer has crept into their repertoire. They're not averse to modernity at all. So, I mentioned Chi-Chi and her porcini sauce. I mean, they're not in seasonal years, so she does freeze them for use year round and that kind of thing. So they're not stuck in the past.
No, I think it's really lovely though, because you can imagine, like, if you were going home to Chi-Chi's house for, I don't know, if you're one of her grandchildren, you'd be like, oh, I really want to go at this time of year because she's going to be making that delicious porcini mushroom dish that she's gone and found out in the woods. And what I love about Italian families is I'm sure she does go out there with her grandchildren to find the mushrooms, and it's a lovely activity to do with your family too.
Yes, I think certainly she keeps her daughter on her toes. Because she insists on living on, both these women, in fact, that we're talking about, both insist on living on their own. And so, of course, it's the family's responsibility to make sure they're okay. And if they're really far up like they are, it's a lot of driving. I remember Chi-Chi saying to me conspiratorially, sometimes I take the phone off the hook because she doesn't have any mobile signal either.
Oh, my goodness. That's so funny. Oh, but I just want my me time. Never mind going to the spa. I'm just going to go up the mountain and take the phone off the hook. Oh, my goodness. So When you're going through all the different regions, and you mentioned you've not gone to two, but I completely understand that. Have you noticed that there are any similarities between the women and the pasta that they cook?
So everything is determined by locality and climate and what grows when. The pasta that they make, in central northern Italy is with soft wheat pasta, and southern Italy it's durum wheat pasta. And of course, nowadays, northern cooks are adding a little bit of durum wheat to their pasta dough to give it a little bit more body. But that's quite a recent thing in the last sort of couple of decades. So there's that. And then that in turn determines the kinds of shapes that you can make. So it all starts with the wheat, if you like. So soft wheat pasta is much more extendable, and you can make things like, all the cappelletti, tortellini and things where you're kind of wrapping the dough around small amounts of lovely meat and cheese and that kind of thing. Whereas, the durum wheat flour produces a plastic but not elastic dough, and that means the shapes, you can create tagliatelle shapes which hold when you cook them, and they don't kind of go into a kind of mush, or collapse. So you get these lovely shapes from them. So that's why there are differences. It starts from those types of wheat that you're using.
It's just incredible because I think, if you go to a supermarket in any of our English-speaking countries, you can go in there and you just think, oh, it's just pasta. But it's not. It's so varied.
Yes, and of course, dried pasta isn't a second best to fresh pasta. It has a different role. And I think for our women, it was often the case that dried pasta, you would have to have the money to buy it. So actually, it was quite a middle-class thing and an aspirational thing to be able to have. If you could afford to buy the flour, that would have been cheaper, and therefore something, if you wanted pasta, you had to make it yourself, basically, to put it on the table. And it wasn't necessarily a daily thing, on Sundays, that kind of thing. It depends on how poor you were. If you were a farmer and you were growing wheat, that would be fine. The local mill would bring you your flour on a regular basis. And a lot of women have said to me, flour, it smells different from when we were young. You could smell the grass, the wheat in the flour, and you can't do that. It doesn't have that nutty smell anymore. And I think that's very interesting. It's the sort of the nature of flour has changed in their lifetimes. Yeah.
And I wonder if that's got something to do with the increase in gluten intolerance in Italy. I'm sure it does, unfortunately.
I'm not in a position to comment on that, but, certainly there's an industrialized, and they're buying in wheat from elsewhere in the world. So it's a huge commodity. And, I think other authors talk about the sort of decreasing diversity in species, like Dan Saladino. I mean, he's very good on that kind of thing. So I'll leave it to them. You can interview them. But
it's really fascinating, though, that we like to think that we've improved on a lot of things, but, really some of these traditions that have gone on, it's maybe good to go and have a look back at what was done and sort of maybe adjust what we do now. So apart from those two regions, like how many pasta dishes do you think you've tried in the past 10 years?
Well, there are 400 episodes.
There you go, 400.
Yeah, and even when we sort of find ourselves filming, for example, tagliatelle, there's always some differences to be found. And also, of course, there's a different personality. So every episode is unique. Every pasta dish is unique.
Yeah, 400. Congratulations. That's an amazing body of work.
Yeah, you can tell I have an elasticated waist on my trousers.
Well, that sounds very sensible to me. I like elasticated waist too. Can you pick a favourite, though? If I had to actually, make you, can you pick a favourite pasta dish?
Oh, that's very hard. But I think in book one there's the panzotti dish, which is these little belly button ravioli, and they're stuffed with forage greens, wild greens, and they're served with a walnut sauce, walnut pesto. And it's absolutely delicious. It manages to be sort of so full of flavour and very elegant at the same time. So that's one. I think from book two, one of the dishes that I make most often is probably Carla's risi e tocchi, which is sort of dialect for chicken stew risotto.
That sounds delicious.
Oh, yeah. It's sort of, some people get anxious about risotto, and this is the sort of gateway dish that stops you from feeling anxious about it. You make a chicken stew, You then fish out all the meaty bits, your chicken legs and things. Take the flesh off the bones and chuck in rice to the juices. Add a bit more wine and a bit more water and stir it all up. Cook the rice, put the meat back in, and voila. And the key ingredient in that is the rosemary that gets added. It's sort of something about chicken and rosemary, and as you know from roasting it, but it's just this wonderful dish. And the family is so, yeah, you can make a risotto out of anything. It's like, okay.
It's really interesting. I know here in Australia, in MasterChef, risotto is known as the danger dish. It's like if anyone cooks risotto, they always get voted off. This is really funny. Maybe they should cook this one.
Yes, maybe. I mean, and the other thing is that if you're a beginner with risotto is to use carnaroli rice rather than any other, because it's much more tolerant to being cooked too long or not stirred enough and all that kind of thing.
I'm really impressed, Vicky, that you do your own cooking as well. I think a lot of people like to admire, cooking shows, and then maybe they're too scared to jump in, but you obviously enjoy cooking yourself.
Very much so, yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm also one of those that started cooking at a very young age. My mum was very keen on it. So she put us to work. I don't know how much of the washing up she had to do, but
yeah, as a mum of small children, that is an inhibitor to allowing them in the kitchen. But good on your mum for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? I think the one that it's been catching my eye, and the one that I'm going to try is the porcini and prosciutto lasagna. Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, it's a very, very good lasagna, that one. And it's just kind of rich and sophisticated. It's a mixture of this prosciutto and if you've got truffle, add a bit of truffle. It's called Princess Grass. It's invented by a chef for the aristocracy in Macerata province, which is near where I live.
Oh, is that in Le Marche?
Yes, yeah.
It's a very underrated region, that one. It's very undiscovered.
Yes, and it's been like that for about 20 years. I think it'll always be a bit undiscovered, which is great.
It's just the way you like it. I mean, yeah, it's one of those regions that's got all the, it's got the mountains and the sea. So you've got those beautiful contrasts between the two different types of cuisine. I haven't been there yet, but I will be going there soon.
Ah, well, come and stay.
Oh, I'd love to, Vicky. You shouldn't say that, because I'm one of those people that does actually turn up. Yeah, we do. We love to showcase some of the lesser known regions on our podcast, and we have got some friends that live in Ascoli Piceno, actually.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, they've been on the show a few times, so we do like to let people know about your beautiful region. Now, Vicky, you've done such a wonderful job documenting the recipes and the women behind them. Are you hopeful about the future of these pasta dishes?
Yes, very much so. I mean, it's a tradition that is, in the form that it has been, is dying away. I mean, women no longer have to pass it down to their daughters. Their daughters go out to work. The good news is their grandchildren and great-grandchildren have realized that they can do both things, go out to work and continue traditions, both boys and girls. It may not be to the level that their grandmothers did. It'll be weekend projects and stuff. And of course, we all know that if there's a shop on the corner that produces really good pasta, then you're going to go and buy it. So that's the other development is, the professionalization of pasta. So, if you're keen on making pasta, then you're going to make a living out of it and have a little shop and that kind of thing, which is great. I mean, you should be paid for that kind of labor. You see that in all, in Chingali, where I live, there are 2 pasta shops, and they keep going, they thrive. So that's great.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I think it's so great that Italians really respect their food traditions like that. So, there is that possibility that they will continue. But, I, for one, I'm so grateful that you've managed to document so many of these delicious dishes for the benefit of future generations. It's an amazing body of work. And Vicky, I know everyone who's not already following you or who are aware of your work is really itching to find out how they can connect with you and the Pasta Grannies and find your book. How can they do that?
At Pasta Grannies. That will get you to Instagram and Facebook. And then on YouTube, it's youtube.com/pastagrannies. So it's Pasta Grannies everywhere.
Just look for the Pasta Grannies. Oh, listeners, this is such a beautiful project that I know you will love. If you don't already follow along on YouTube, set aside a few hours because I know you're going to love hearing the local Italian stories, all about the food and pasta and just those family connections. I think you're going to find Vicky's work delightful. And Vicky, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. Congratulations on the new book.
Thank you very much.
Oh, grazie mille, Vicky. Thank you for coming on Untold Italy today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Both Vicky's books about the Pasta Grannies are so beautifully designed and laid out with stunning photography of Italian places and the wonderful pasta making women. I love the mix of personal stories and photos which bring the recipes that Vicky shared to life. It's a mouth-watering read and one I've been poring over for weeks. The porcini and prosciutto lasagna is a definite winner. It's so rich and decadent and a dish deserving of special occasions like Christmas. I've also got the macaroni with green olives from Calabria bookmarked to try very soon. Vicky's book is beautifully bound and in hardcover, so it will make a brilliant gift for any pasta-loving cook or eater. And if you get the book, I'd love to hear what recipes you tried and what memories of your trips to Italy it evoked. Drop me a line at ciao@untolditaly.com and let me know. I love hearing from you all. It makes my day. Now we've put the details of the book and a link on how to buy it from Amazon, as well as how to find the Pasta Grannies online, into the post show notes at untolditaly.com/149 for episode number 149. Thanks for your ongoing support of Untold Italy. We truly appreciate all of you, especially our Amici private podcast subscribers, and of course all our listeners joining us from around the world. If you have a spare moment, we would so appreciate it if you left us a 5-star rating or review on your favourite podcast app. That way we can reach more Italy-loving travellers just like you. That's all for today. On next week's episode, we're talking about what to wear when you visit Italy. It's a hot topic, didn't you know? But until then, it's ciao for now. The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katie Clark. Yes, there are 2 of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.